Well, welcome everyone to Steve Savant's Money, the name of the game. I'm your host, Steve Savant, syndicated financial columnist and money-colored commentator. On today's show, why rent when you can buy? Part one of our series on America's real estate investment with real estate expert Mike Bodine. Welcome to the show, Mike.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Well, I can tell you one reason people are renting, especially young millennials, is they are loaded with college tuition debt. And I mean big time. I've seen 30, 40, 50,000. You've told me even more.
That's right.
And that's almost a deal killer across the board, would you not say?
Oftentimes is.
So I can understand why people rent for that because I have too much college debt. But the normal person who's going to look at saying, should I rent, should I buy? Even though the Fed upticked the interest rate at the close of 2016, it's really relatively flat.
Yes.
So talk about the difference between, hey, when should I rent and when should I buy? Because I think it's a buy.
Well, one thing that a lot of people are not realizing so much these days, it's not just, and yes, there has been an uptick in the interest rates, but rents are going up and rents are increasing, and then it's making it even worse for ownership, for people to try to get in. So it's incumbent on young people especially to do something now because it's not probably going to get much better.
Okay, so if you're a millennial and you don't have the big tuition debt, you don't have college debt seeing you for the next 10 years, right? You should really look at this right now, even if it's a starter home.
Absolutely.
So I remember when I was first married to you too, we were living in cracker boxes. We bought our first home. I don't even know if it was really that great of a house, but when we were so young in our 20s, it was our house. It was our house.
Right.
And it built equity.
Yes.
So today in 2017, what's your kind of outlook for buyers right now? You think the Fed's going to stay put for a little bit?
Well, who knows about that? But one thing I do know is that there does seem to be much more confidence in our economy. And that's going to translate into people buying homes. And so that's a good thing if you're a seller, but it's not a great thing if you're a buyer because more buyers that are coming into the scene there are going to be more competition for you. So it's important that you act as soon as you can because quite honestly, there has never really been a better time, even though the rates have gone up just a little bit. It's still a great time to be able to buy.
Did I just hear you say you think it's a seller's market then? Or we're heading that way?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, so when I'm looking at, I've seen a lot of the tax proposals putting up by our new president, by the Republican Senate and House. I didn't see anything about taking the interest deduction off the table for owning a home. I haven't seen anything like that. So I'm just assuming that's going forward. And that's one of the perks of buying a home is I get to deduct the mortgage interest.
Yep. And that's where it really can make a big difference for someone. When you start to figure you could be saving thousands of more a year just by what you can save from not paying IRS. That's always a good thing.
Oh, I'm all over that.
Yeah.
What about down payments right now? If I'm going to buy a home, Mike, do I need everything? Sometimes I see the military ads on television. Hey, 100%, just walk in. But what about the normal person? What are they looking for on a down usually?
Yeah. Well, normally, like you said, military 0% down with the VA. With the rest of us, FHA is 3.5% down. A number of other banks
for normal people.
For normal people.
Wow.
Yeah. The downstroke there is that they will only loan up to say $270,000. Okay. However, other banks, Chase, Wells Fargo, they have come up with 3% down payments, and they will loan more money. So it looks like money is loosening up.
Yeah,
mortgage money.
I mean, that sounds fantastic. I mean, 5 years ago, I'd never heard you say that.
No.
So really, low down payment, that's a pretty good number, even 3% for conventional banking?
It is.
I mean, that's a pretty good deal.
It is, absolutely.
And what do you think I mean, I know today the rates changed and all that, but what are we sitting around right now for a 30?
About 4.25%.
Okay, 4.25%.
And that's up from 3.75% just after the election.
Yeah, so things moved up a little bit, 100 basis points or so swing, but we're still so low that those numbers really don't seem to affect the payment that much.
Yeah, Steve, I hate to remind myself how long I've been in this business, but the first home that I bought, I was so happy to get 9.75%. And then from there, of course, we saw mortgage rates hit 18 and 19% back in the early 80s. Of course, those were extreme times, just like we've come through extreme times recently here. But a lot of people, especially young people, don't understand 4.25%, how incredible that is.
Yeah, if you snap a timeline from the time that you and I were young people in their 20s, and you put it today, it's one big descent down to 4.25, whatever you said. So I mean, we're thankful. Yes, we saw it go down. My last home is at 3.5. So I mean, wow, I think that was the bottom end. But now we have people that are looking for homes. Ownership's a big deal. It's the American dream. I don't know of any other country in the world that provides the opportunity and the possibility of owning your own property.
That's correct. America is unique in that. And also, too, it does seem, as I mentioned just a few minutes ago, it does seem as if restrictions are being loosened up a little. We saw a lot more restrictions 7 and 8 years ago after the crash. But now we're starting to see it loosen up. And if Dodd-Frank is repealed or parts of it there, we could begin to see much more mortgage money coming into play.
Well, that would really, that would be an infusion into the market that would cause some serious opportunity for people who are especially first-time buyers, or people that are looking for their last retirement home. I can see a lot of possibilities there.
Yes, absolutely.
It's funny because most Americans, the only real estate they're going to own, how very few Americans own REITs, limited partnership REITs. They don't invest. They're not landlords. Most Americans are not. So their only property, their only real estate investment is really their house. And right now, it's the largest for most middle-class Americans. Their home is their largest asset that they have on their balance sheet.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So when I'm thinking about this, we're going to be talking in our next segments how to buy a house, how to sell a house. We're talking about really looking at entry-level rates that are in the fours to mid 4.5, somewhere in that vicinity. And I'm coming to the table now. Are they still doing some things on closing costs, and things of that nature? Is that a real positive still that we have banks and different institutions picking it up?
Mostly what we have right now are actually willing sellers that are willing to contribute to your closing costs. When we're writing up offers, lots of times, especially for first-time home buyers, because you might have 3.5% for an FHA loan, but then what about your closing costs? You could have $5,000, $6,000 in closing costs there. Well, what we do is we ask the seller to contribute 3%, 4%, 5% towards closing costs. So that would enable a buyer to actually get in at 3.5% down. They can't get in for less than that because the rules require that they put 3.5% down towards the down payment.
And we're going to talk all about that in a couple segments from now. We're going to talk about buying and selling. It's going to be huge. When I'm looking at these numbers, I'm thinking if I'm going to own, and I remember my children are talking about buying a home. They heard about when we said, and your house will appreciate, 3, maybe 4% a year. Are we looking at appreciations that you and I used to enjoy? Is that really on the table for going forward, like in a year like today, 2017?
Of course, it depends where you are, Steve. Here in the Phoenix metropolitan area, we actually have a pretty balanced market right now. We're experiencing 4 to 5% appreciation. And most of us professionals would love for it to just stay there because that is, it's a kind of a stable number. It's a positive number for homeowners. It doesn't wipe out so many possible buyers from the market because they're the cost is going much higher there.
So really, that's ideal. But most of the other markets, they may not be as stable as ours.
That's true.
I noticed one of my children live in Fort Wayne, and that number of their house has flatlined over the last decade. There's been very little growth at all.
All real estate is local. Whenever you hear of interest rate or appreciation rates are such and such, you might even read it in particular communities. They're 8 to 9%, especially on the West Coast, where it gets crazy there, where you can have double-digit appreciation. You have to look at where you live. And even within a particular state, even within a particular county, you have to look at your neighborhood to find out, what's really happening there. Your state, your county may be doing 7 or 8% annual appreciation, but nothing's happening in yours. Or you're doing better.
Wow. Well, listen, don't forget to watch part 2 of our series on America's real estate investment, buying your own home, and what you're going to need to know. And keep in mind, before moving forward with any of the ideas on our show, always check with your tax consultant, legal counsel, or financial advisor. You're watching Steve Savant's Money. Remain on the game.